You wouldn't believe the amount of people I've met that identified as an alcoholic and claimed that they had an addiction because it was hard for them to have just one drink. And they weren't an addict. They weren't an alcoholic. They didn't have a physical dependency. And more importantly, a majority of these people claimed specifically that they're an alcoholic because they drink every single day, that they have an addiction because they drink every single day, that there is something wrong with them, that they have a disease, that they are forever broken. And a majority of these amazing people that identified as an addict didn't have an addiction. They had a preference. They had a series of practices. They had a neurological network that was wired around survival and safety. Just because somebody drinks every single day does not mean they're going to develop an addiction. It means that someone that practices alcoholic or addictive behaviors more often than not is at higher risk of their body and brain physiologically wiring itself and becoming dependent on that specific substance. You could be addicted to talking shit. You're literally addicted to cortisol pumping through your body. That's why when you're in an argument, and even though all the points have been met, you still feel the adrenaline, you still feel the cortisol, you still feel like you got to say something else. Now, the more that you consume alcohol, or any substance for that matter, the more shit you talk to people, the more likely you are to develop a set of neurological and even biochemical practices that fire and activate even when you don't want that to happen. That's what we would call an addiction. That's what we would call a literal network of biochemical practices that breed more destructive behaviors. Now, the beautiful part about that is just because you've developed accidentally a series of neurological connections and synapses that drive you towards self-destruction, self-harm, self-sabotage, addictive behaviors, and the desire for more, if that happened accidentally, then we can rewire it on purpose. That's what recovery is. That's the neuroscience. That's neuroplasticity. So to assume that somebody is going to be an addict and is actually an alcoholic because they drink every day, because they have a high tolerance, because they like alcohol a lot, because they've been drinking their whole life, because the rest of their life looks like they're probably going to have a glass of scotch in their hand until the day they fucking die. None of that means that they are forever fucked, that they're destined to be an alcoholic. And more importantly, just because you have a genetic predisposition to alcoholism doesn't mean you're going to be an alcoholic because you choose to drink.